Welcome to the Loyalty Builders podcast, where together with the top loyalty and product experts, we discuss how to maximize customer acquisition, engagement, and retention by using a loyalty engine. Building loyalty is complex, but with the right toolkit and market-proven knowledge, you will maximize the use of your products and services faster than learning from your own mistakes. Subscribe to our newsletter and twice a week get tried and tested tactics to build and improve customer loyalty. Hey everyone, this is the second part of the interview with Chadi Al Abbassy, Loyalty and Partnerships Manager at Raqtan Group. The goal of this episode is to share expert knowledge and tips coming straight from a B2B e-commerce loyalty professional. In the second part, Chadi gives advice on how to build a successful e-commerce loyalty program and how to make sure that your loyalty program fits into the overall business strategy. So without further ado, here's Chadi. Okay, brilliant. So, if we could move on to your advice on building a successful loyalty program. This is for people who this podcast. The idea is to create this content for loyalty builders. So people who are actually thinking about building and using their loyalty programs to drive the business results. So here, if you could perhaps share your vision on the key components of a successful loyalty program for e-commerce.
From my perspective, is simply start now. So, I've been seeing, so there is a lot of other ready tailored loyalty programs that takes so much time and effort to be implemented. But in that case, I would say, and this is the approach that we took in that scenario, is mainly start with the basic feature of a loyalty program. Mainly just show your customer that you have some sort of a loyalty program, that they make a purchase, they get points, and they get a discount. This is the most basic thing that any e-commerce platform can start with. Later on, it doesn't matter if you have a roadmap from the beginning. You can just introduce that feature and start working on your roadmap. Surveys is very important. Run a monthly survey. Ask customers about their experience. If they notice that that your company has a loyalty program or not, which is making sure that the program is visible. Visibility is very important. We faced an issue at the beginning that customers they have so much point, but they're checking out without using them. So we wanted to let them know, even if you have a list of customers and you're gonna call them one by one, and that's something that we've done just to make sure that they're aware. There is a lot of omni channels that you can use through your marketing efforts just to let customers know about your loyalty program. But again, my advice is just start right away and start building. Surveys will let you know what is the next feature that you'll add. But again, as soon as you start, it's always better to have a roadmap. You have a timeline so you'll be introduced, because again, there's very basic features like tier system that should be introduced at one point. But and integrate external services with your loyalty program. Customers, of course, they'll going to be more than happy to use points on your platform for repetitive purchases. But again, to keep the customer engaged, it's always better to have partners that you integrate them to your program, where your customers can either use the points or even get them at a discount from another provider. Something that we're trying to do right now, for example, and a lot of people thought, okay, but how that's going to work with business customers? We have one car wash service here in Saudi. They're a very amazing app. I'm not going to say the name or anything, and we're trying to integrate them with us at the moment. So very simple. Customers can use their points to get 50% discount on a year subscription for their car wash. And again, you don't have to give a reward that's linked to your business, or that's gonna have maybe ask the customer to buy something from your platform, but you're simply giving the customer a reward for being a loyal customer to your brand. This reward, it doesn't have to be from your website, but from something else that they are using on their daily basis, something else that will make their life a little bit easier. So again, my suggestions or my recommendation for any business looking to get into a loyalty is simply have an MVP, launch it as soon as possible, and then start building on it. Make sure you run surveys to understand customer needs, and then based on those data, add to your program. As simple as that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. What about this? Like asking customers, would you suggest launching the MVP as soon as possible and then launching the surveys and involving customers during the iteration phase? Or would you start with the survey and then ask, okay, we are building the MVP. What would you like to see in the MVP? Like, points, discounts, tiers, I don't know.
Yeah, of course, you have to run a survey first just to understand the MVP, what aspects of the MVP that you will actually have, you will implement on your initial deployment. Again, and this is exactly what you will hear from your customer, is a higher discount rate. And this, again, as we discussed, this is understandable. And this is the very basic thing that you can deploy at the beginning. But again, you might find something that, and that's why you're running the survey. You might find something that was away from your vision, but the customers are thinking about, because how you will understand what the customers need. Okay, it's good that you have the experience in the field and you've been doing that for years, but sometimes if you're away from customers' perspective, you will not understand their needs. And keep in mind that customer needs change rapidly. Again, what the restaurant needed before COVID, it's different from what they need after COVID. We had a lot of scenarios of businesses that didn't have any digital. Well, they have digital presence, but for example, a restaurant or a coffee shop, they were highly dependent on the dine-in experience. They didn't have any deliveries. When COVID hit, everyone's perspectives changed 180 degrees. Everyone must have a delivery service. Everyone was relying on cloud kitchens instead of a dine-in experience, or like they say. So again, surveys is very important before you start even thinking about the program, and that the data that you will collect, that will shape the product that you will deploy, or your MVP in that case. And later on, surveys will let you know exactly, surveys plus the data, because the data that you'll get from the surveys, it will be way different from what you're getting from order values or and so on.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really like the idea of treating your customers as this key stakeholder during the developing of the program, because very often it gets neglected because we tend to just juggle the teams internally in the company and think about technology, about the business team. And so I think that the most popular scenario is a sort of like a discussion and dialogue between business and technology, but here you've introduced also customers as a pillar to whatever you are trying to develop. So I think it will be really inspiring for our community. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I also wanted to ask you about the overall, because the loyalty programs are a complex. I mean, your loyalty programs are complex projects. So how can you navigate skillfully multiple stakeholders? You've already introduced customers, right, to the mix. What would be your tip for people who are at the moment of designing, are starting to think about implementing the loyalty program because they see the need, but they don't have the know-how? So what would be your suggestion to, how to make sure that your loyalty program fits within the overall business strategy, and that you can basically champion the whole idea, the vision, and then just start with the MVP successfully?
So and there's two scenarios. The first one is you reach out to a professional that's been in the market for years, and you brief them about your business, about what you're trying to achieve, and so on, and they can for example, give you a consultation, and then based on that consultation, they will ask you to do a survey, do that, and so on, and they can be with you through your journey. And the second scenario, in that case, is doing the research yourself. So one of the things that, for example, I like about your website, that you have case studies for your customers, and this is something actually I've went through after I was handed the lead on the program. So I wanted to know what's missing or what I can actually improve. Let's say away from doing surveys now. Case studies is an amazing documentation. You can say it can work as a guideline for you if you don't know exactly. Okay, sometimes if you're reaching out to do a consultation and get a company to start from you from the beginning, it might be costly. But again, if you go through case studies, and it's available, for example, on Open Loyalty and on even other websites, you will understand how this business turn out a success through their loyalty program. So yes, so again, either seek out a professional or have something in-house from the beginning. You start with doing the research, go through multiple case studies for businesses that closer from you. And even if it's not close, you can get a few ideas from case studies from, like, even if it's you're working in commercial kitchen equipment. And this is something happening. I got an idea from a gaming loyalty program. Gamification is very important in that case. So yeah, I think this is the simplest way I can put it. Either seek out a professional if you have the budget for it, or start doing the research yourself. Go through case studies, and you will figure it out at the end. And again, it's all about figuring out the first step, and then later on you build on it.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Obviously, yeah, like, I can imagine that going through those case studies, then automatically you have some cool ideas, and then you can work out through those business cases that you would like to implement in your program. So definitely. And also, thank you so much for contributing your part to the community, because thanks to you, we have this great case study of Equip. So as I've said before, the link is in the comments. I mean, in the description of the episode. So for everyone who is listening, make sure that you check out the case study, because definitely it's like, filled with examples that are tried and tested. So that also brings another, let's say, level of quality to this sort of content. Okay. So before we wrap up, I also wanted to ask you about the technology part and integrations part, because this is something I've been researching recently. And it turns out that one of the most challenging aspect of introducing a loyalty program is actually integrating the technology that is necessary to run it. What is your experience in this area? And then maybe you have some scenarios or some tips or some item of advice that would help other people struggling with integrating the technology.
So that part, I would say, it depends on what kind of platform that you're running and what type of service the loyalty provider that you're choosing is providing. So, for example, in your example, for Open Loyalty, you're an API first that can integrate seamlessly with any platform. And because even on Equip, we've built the whole e-commerce platform in-house. We've been using a ready-made e-commerce platform in the past, but we've decided that we'll do everything ourselves. In that case, Open Loyalty was like our choice to go. Of course, the integration, it's way simpler. But again, it depends on what type of platform anyone else is using. So, for example, if someone is using WeCommerce or using Shopify or using anything like PrestaShop, for example, I believe integration will be easier. There is a lot of modules for loyalty that's built into Shopify and everyone else that can give you some sort of experience. But in terms of developing for those, it's going to be a way harder. Instead of you actually doing anything through an API, for example, as Open Loyalty do, which makes everything easier. And I'm talking from our own platform perspective. This is I think, because I was not 100% included in the integration process, but from speaking to our technical team, there was no sort of issues or headaches when we started integrating with your API.
Okay, so thanks for clarifying that, because this is something that I've been particularly interested in lately. Like, what is the reason that some companies or some businesses are ready to go in months, or like, they need 4 weeks to integrate rather complex stack successfully, and on the other hand, there are companies who struggle, and then it takes longer, and then they think that it's going to be 3 months, but after 3 months they decide that they need some more time. So, but I forgot that you were not actually present during the integration phase. So that's absolutely fine. But it's cool that at least, like, your perspective is that you've mentioned the API first technology, and I believe that if you have a complex tech stack of multiple tools that you're using, and obviously this is the trend right now. So it just seems that this is the right choice, and it gives you speed and flexibility.
Exactly, and I just want to add that although that for Open Loyalty, there's a lot of features that was not introduced from the first launch, on the initial launch. Again, that saved a lot of time. So you don't have to integrate everything from the beginning, as we discussed before. It's just a matter of your MVP, how it will be introduced, a wallet, and a redemption system, and that's it. And then you can just integrate everything else later on in the process. So yeah, that was one of the decisions that the business made that actually made the whole process of integration easier and faster in that case.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I would say that we are about to wrap up the episode. Thank you so much for sharing all the details with our audience. Is there anything you would like to share with the community before we call it a day?
I believe I'll repeat myself again when I say loyalty programs, they're not like the past. They're now a necessity. It's not an accessory anymore, especially with all the how they put it right now, as we discussed first in the challenges part. So competition is high in the digital market, and loyalty is no longer an accessory, it's a necessity. So start small and just start with the single feature, but let your customer know that they will be rewarded for their loyalty, for their purchases, and build on that later on. But start now or you'll be missing out.
Thank you so much. And also, thank you for joining our podcast, creating the case study, because you are a perfect example of a loyalty builder, like a person who has the experience, who has done it, and also sees the positive results. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the reward program. I hope that you will be able to introduce more and more interesting, engaging functionalities, and I'm wishing a lot of success to the whole program and the team at Equip.
Thank you so much for having me and giving us the time to work on the case studies and the podcast. And I'm looking forward to our updated case study in 6 months or a year after we introduce a lot of more exciting features to our program. And I look forward to see the results from those and discussing it with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great. I have to admit that discussing loyalty with our customers is my favorite thing to do. Partnering up to create a case study is even better. You'll find the link to the Equip case study in the episode description. Check it out and let me know what you think. Also, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter for more valuable content related to this episode. And stay tuned for the next one. Have a great day, everyone. The Loyalty Builders podcast is brought to you by the team at Open Loyalty, an API-first loyalty engine that allows you to implement loyalty and gamification features into your tech stack faster than developing them from scratch.